Tonight on EKB Evening News at 6, flash flooding affects area residents. Good evening, I'm Cindy Mae Johnson.
And I'm Gary Sloan. It's a scene that has been all too common this year, and it's one that is repeating itself today. Area homeowners spraying flood from their basements, driveways, and homes, while there were reports of high water across Floyd and Johnson counties. The areas of Whitensville and Tudor Key in Johnson County appeared to have been ground zero for last night's storm. EKB News reporter Shannon Deskins went to Baker Branch Free Will Baptist Church. Even though the church is not in the floodplain and had never been flooded before, they're cleaning up from flooding nonetheless.
Just before dark last night, heavy rain showers that were centered over the northern part of Johnson County dumped as much as 2 inches of rain, maybe more, in less than a 2-hour time period. The communities of Whitensville, Tudor Key, and Baker Branch, where I'm standing now, sustained the most damage. In fact, the church behind me was flooded for the first time in its 50-year history. Members of the Baker Branch Free Will Baptist Church and members of the community worked alongside each other this morning to salvage what they could after last night's flash flood. Members who tried to check on the church last night couldn't even get into the parking lot because of the high water.
I first come down to the church, water was completely surrounding it on both sides, and at that point there was no access to even get in to see if it was inside the church. So I went home, come back down about an hour later after the water started to recede, and that's when we were able to get into the church and see that it had got in and kind of flooded all the sanctuary and tore the parking lot up. After the water receded, we could see that as well.
Emergency crews were dispatched when flooding reports started coming in the northern part of Johnson County. Emergency management officials tell us the majority of the damage was to roads and residential basements after nearly 2 hours of heavy rain.
The storm seemed to form just practically over Johnson County, and it sat there for a couple of hours. We did have quite a few homes. We're doing damage assessment today on them. A lot of that was water under floors, doing damage to heating and air conditioning units, ductwork.
McClure told us only 3 or 4 homes reported water entering into the main living areas. And as far as damage to the Baker Branch Free Will Baptist Church, church members are hopeful that the damage will be contained to the floor of the building. For EKB Evening News at 6, I'm Shannon Deskins.
This morning, a federal judge dismissed a lawsuit against the state of Kentucky for its policy regarding drug treatment for people accused of drug crimes. The case was brought by former Floyd County nurse Stephanie Watson, who faces criminal charges after allegedly being caught taking drug remnants from a hospital biohazard box. Watson claimed the state violated the Americans with Disabilities Act by blocking her attempts to treat her addiction medically with drugs like Suboxone. The judge disagreed, saying the state court simply asked her to provide evidence that the treatment she sought was medically necessary. But she instead chose to file a federal lawsuit. Watson's attorney, Ned Pillersdorf, said the dismissal was a setback, but they will continue to fight the case in state courts.
The argument is basically the drug courts and unfortunately many state court judges automatically deny people the right to use medications they're prescribed. Our position is and always will be, whether we're in state court or federal court, that what medications you're prescribed should be left up to a doctor, and that the judges and lawyers in the drug court should not interfere. So what basically the federal court ruled was that it's a state court matter. There are legal proceedings going on in state court as to Ms. Watson.
In dismissing the suit, the judge said the federal courts do not have a, quote, big brother relationship with state courts and cannot interfere with an active criminal case.
A Pikeville man and woman were arrested the morning of July 4th after they were found sleeping while 4 children were left unsupervised in an apartment strewn with pills and beer bottles. Pikeville police were called to a report of a fight at the apartment building. They encountered a bloody and bruised Josh and Jason Coleman leaving from an apartment, then made more discoveries when they went inside.
Upon their arrival, they found one of the males had been beaten up in the fight and had figured out that he had been in apartment 304. Upon the officers going up there and checking that apartment, they found an open door where they also found a male and female subject passed out, one on the floor and one on the couch. Before they woke them up, they found a lot of pills laying all over the floor. It was clonazepam, and the male subject and female was found to be a Kelly Taylor and a Ryan Sellards. Both were charged with wanton endangerment first for the children who was asleep in the bedroom while all this was going on.
Taylor and Sellers were arrested and charged with first-degree wanton endangerment and third-degree drug possession. Sellers was also charged with tampering with physical evidence after police said he attempted to dispose of a plate containing a rolled-up dollar bill and pill residue. Sellers remains in the Pike County Detention Center. Taylor has posted bond. The Colemans were charged with public intoxication.
Attorneys for Eric C. Kahn were back in court today, arguing against another attempt to freeze his assets. This time, the request is part of a wrongful death lawsuit filed by the family of a former client who killed himself after receiving a notice that his disability benefits had been suspended. The same attorneys successfully kept Kahn's assets from being frozen in a preliminary injunction in a class action fraud and malpractice lawsuit just 2 weeks ago. EKB News reporter Courtney Lovern spoke to attorney Ned Pillersdorf, who is behind most of the lawsuits against Kahn. She filed this report.
Eric C. Kahn has been headline news over the past couple months after 1,500 of his former clients received notices that their disability benefits were in jeopardy due to suspicions of fraud. At least 2 of those former clients committed suicide after receiving the notices, leading to a pair of wrongful death lawsuits against Kahn. Today, during a hearing in one of those cases, Kahn was accused of trying to empty his assets in an attempt to avoid paying any judgment he could possibly owe at the end of the case.
We have recently learned that his $1.9 million house in Pikeville is suddenly for sale. We don't think that's a coincidence. We think Mr. Kahn is basically trying to get rid of all of his assets, so if we succeed in the lawsuit, there won't be anything left to collect. So the purpose of today's evidentiary hearing was to demonstrate to the judge that there ought to be some sort of legal mechanism to prevent him from selling his assets until this case gets heard.
6 witnesses testified today, but the judge has not yet ruled on whether to freeze Kahn's assets. Kahn is not the only one undergoing legal scrutiny, though.
We've also sued the Social Security Administration on behalf of the 1,500 people who are threatened with losing their benefits, and at least 2 of them have taken their own lives. We've also filed lawsuits against Mr. Kahn, and I think there's 3 separate lawsuits going on against Mr. Kahn at this point.
Pillersdorf went on to say how important it is that the court intervene in Kahn's actions.
The concern is, and it was also evidenced by affidavit form, that he had a 4-day burning of medical records, what we believe were my client's medical records at his office. Approximately 1 month after the Social Security Administration notified him he was under investigation, there's a receipt from Shredall that he apparently shredded 2.3 million documents. So based on this type of conduct, we're convinced that if the court doesn't act, there won't be any assets when this case is finally disposed of. We've asked the judge basically to attach his assets so when this case is concluded, the assets won't be gone. What's the point of doing a lawsuit and getting a judgment and collecting money, and we find that Mr. Kahn's assets are gone and he has fled to Cuba? There was also evidence today that he talked about fleeing to Cuba to avoid extradition.
For EKB Evening News at 6, I'm Courtney Lovern.
Well, coming up, Operation Unite gets a big helping hand.
And both sides, state and local leaders, have concerns about litter. We'll be right back.
During the Pike County Fiscal Court meetings, no matter what's on the agenda, one item is consistently brought up: litter. Pike County Magistrate Bobby Varney says the residents in Pike County need to help with the litter problem in the county. He says even though we have volunteers and the Pride organization, litter is still a problem.
What aggravates me the most about it is that we've got some good volunteers that get out and pick up litter, but the next week they got to come right back to the same places and pick up litter again. And you know, this Pride organization we got, I'm really proud of them and what they do, but I can see them getting frustrated because they don't see no end to the thing. And we talk about tourism and ATV trails, and we talk about boat trails. We're talking about all that stuff, But who wants to come to Pike County, one of the most beautiful places in the world, and see garbage in the ditch lines?
Varney added that we need to set a better example for the next generation, or the problem will continue to get worse.
Well, trash was also on the mind of Kentucky leaders last week, but they're not blaming local residents for the problem. Instead, they were pointing their fingers at the Commonwealth of Virginia. State Senator Ray Jones said during a meeting of the Interim Joint Committee on Natural Resources and Environment last week that Pike County sees a lot of trash wash into Fish Trap Lake from Virginia, and officials in that state seem unwilling to do anything about the problem. Jones told State Division of Water Director Peter Goodman that he believes the executive branch needs to begin pressing the issue. Goodman replied that he will begin talking with Virginia officials and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to see what can be done to address the problem.
Operation Unite has received funding to continue its program to place Service Corps members in elementary schools. The workers provide math tutoring and drug abuse prevention education. The program will receive over $500,000 from the Corporation for National and Community Service to place AmeriCorps workers at schools in 13 districts, including Knott, Johnson, and Pike. According to the most recent statistics available, the Service Corps members helped raise math test scores over 42% and increase drug prevention knowledge by more than 40%. In addition to the Unite Service Corps, the corporation also provided $36,000 to a Teach for America project in Hazard and $379,000 to Morehead State University's MSU Corps, which provides reading tutors. Well, coming up, Joe Kinzer will be in with sports, and we'll get the big question answered.
Yes.
Did he or did he not run in the White Lightning Half Marathon?
I say he did.
Me too.
But first, EKB Chief Meteorologist Lathan Hopkins is back after a week of vacation. Now the big question with him, did he bring back the beach weather? Stay with us to find out.
All right, Gary, that was a mean tease because
Well.
I'd love to have what I would call beach weather.
Oh, me too.
The heat, humidity, and a
Yes.
daily threat
Yes.
of showers and storms. That's pretty much what we have, as a matter of fact. The heat will be increasing, especially as we head into the weekend. And yes, another chance of rain will be moving in, especially tomorrow and Wednesday. We'll talk about all of that here in just a second. Let's start with what's happening right now with the Doppler radar. And had a few showers earlier today, but those have since moved out. A dry evening looks to be on tap across the region. That's definitely some good news. The satellite and radar composite showing this area of low pressure way off the coast here, or approaching the coast of the Atlantic there. This has been what's responsible for the heavy rain that we had yesterday, today, even overnight last night. Some locations, as you saw earlier, picking up 2, 3, 4 inches of rain in a very short period of time. Unfortunately, that's going to be the trend. The slow-moving thunderstorms will be back in the forecast for tomorrow and Wednesday. And yes, that will increase the flood threat across the region yet again. We'll talk more about that here in just a second. The almanac for today, 81 degrees. The official low, 66, which is below average for this time of the year. But believe it or not, 81 today, that's been the warmest day we've had so far this month. July, and 81 is the best we can do so far. That will be changing, though, as we head into the weekend. Sunrise tomorrow morning, 6:15, sunset at 8:54. Temperatures across the area, 82 in Pikeville, 84 Prestonsburg, 83 in Paintsville. The sky's finally starting to clear out, and that's helping temperatures increase just a little bit this evening. But as we make plans for the rest of the evening, by 7 o'clock, partly cloudy, 79 degrees, 74 by 9 o'clock, and near 70 at 11 o'clock, partly cloudy, but you will notice some fog entering the forecast as we head into the overnight hours tonight. Some of that could be locally dense for the Tuesday morning commute. Temperatures for tonight, upper 60s, low 70s, and back into the 80s we go during the day tomorrow. What we watch next is another front, this one beginning to approach Chicago and St. Louis with a pretty decent line of showers and storms. This one will head our way during the day tomorrow, increasing the rain chance yet again. And then it's kind of stall out across the region, and that's going to keep the rain threat with us during the day on Wednesday as well. And again, locally heavy rainfall will be a possibility. Let's talk about the pollen count, sponsored by Faith Pharmacy, Adams Plaza in Pikeville. With the remaining rain chance Tuesday, Wednesday, even Thursday, the pollen count is expected to stay in the low category. The highest day, that would be tomorrow at 3.0. All right, 7-day forecast time. 50% chance of rain Tuesday, Wednesday. Temperatures in the mid-80s. Back into the upper 80s on Thursday, and then flirting with 90 as we head into Saturday and Sunday, maybe even Monday of next week. So a little taste of summer finally returning.
I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to sell that as beach weather.
I'm trying my best.
Nope. No, I'm not buying that.
Come on, 90 degrees this weekend. It's close.
Okay, but
it's
take the rain and the
close.
storms away.
I'm going to do my best.
Good. Thank you.
And we'll be right back with sports. Well, Joe, soccer fans were excited this weekend.
I tell you, Team USA off to a great start, and it was a perfect 4th of July weekend, folks. Thanks a lot, Gary and Cindy. And good evening. I'm Joe Kinzer with the Look of Sports. If you haven't heard by now, the USA women's soccer team defeated Japan to take the World Cup, the first time since 1999. This game was more than exciting, with the first 4 goals scored within the first 16 minutes of the match. USA came out to win and played a spectacular game. Let's go to the highlights as Team USA scored early and often. Here's Carly Lloyd with the first goal at the 2:33 mark, 1-0 Team USA. A couple minutes later, guess what? Lloyd again, quickly 2-0 as she runs around the field. Here comes Team USA again as the ball ricochets off a Japan defender, and boom! The third goal of the game, 3-0 there by Lauren Holiday. Got a little bit excited there. Here comes a midfield shot by, guess who, Carly Lloyd, over the goalie's head. And guess what? That's the hat trick. She might have got a little bit of a piece of finger on it. 4-0, your score coming up right here, as that's going to be Tobin Heath and Team USA again coming up with the big win in the World Cup as the folks go crazy, like the American Eagle as they lift the World Cup trophy. Again, Team USA becomes only the first country to win 3 World Cups. The Coke 0400 at Daytona got underway late last night and finished up early this morning due to rain. Dale Earnhardt Jr. gets his second win of the year. Now let's take a look at the highlights as Jr. is coming down the home stretch, the final lap. The number 4 car, Kevin Harvick, gets into the 11, Denny Hamlin, and look at number 3, Austin Dillon, going airborne into the fencing. A devastating accident as you get a second look at it right here. Again, the final lap of this race, as a lot of team members from different pit crews very concerned as they go out to attend to the young rookie, but he gives the thumbs up as Austin Dillon waves to the crowd. Just very miraculous that he wasn't seriously injured in that one. The All-Star voting results were released over the weekend for the upcoming MLB All-Star game to be held in Cincinnati next week. The reserves and the pitchers will be released tonight. Good news for Reds third baseman Todd Frazier, as he found out he'll be the starting third baseman for the game.
Nervous, I was excited. It was a huge comeback, and definitely have a bunch of thanks to all the people, especially the whole Red staff for coming through, and all the fans out there that really, took the time and effort, because it's tedious to do, but right now I'm pretty much on cloud 9 how excited I am. It's something that you think when you're little in the backyard playing with your brothers, and you always thought, I have 2 older brothers, I thought they were going to be the ones, and they taught me the ropes and helped me along the way, and now I'm the guy that's my second All-Star.
Frazier, 25 homers, 54 RBIs so far. This past Saturday, Paintsville senior linebacker Cash Daniel made his decision to where he would play college football. In the fall of 2016, Daniel will make his way to Kentucky under Coach Mark Stoops to begin his collegiate career, with hopes of winning a state championship this year for Paintsville. Cash was excited with his decision and felt it was the best fit for him and his family.
Since I was a little kid, I've always watched signing day, and I've always wanted to stick a hat, to say where I'm going to school at. And I've had that dream, for a long time. When I finally got the chance to do it, it was just an unreal experience because things you've worked so hard for, you can finally just look back on it and say it's finally paid off. It's a big deal for me and my family, and also my school, my teammates, because they were all there supporting me. I'm already in a group text with the rest of the Kentucky commits, and they're all great guys. We've talked, for a straight day now. They're all business. They want to win just like I do. It's just going to be really exciting to play with those guys. Out of all the places I've visited, that's the biggest family atmosphere. I believe in Coach Duke's program, and I believe it's going to work. I just feel like staying home, and staying close to my friends where they can, come watch me play in the SEC and hopefully build an SEC championship team.
And Cash Daniel will be our guest tonight on Sports Guys. Danny Lee took home $1.8 million this past weekend as he captured the Greenbrier Classic in a four-man playoff for his first PGA Tour victory. And finally, we got to leave off with this. Matthew Stoney is the new Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest champion as he takes home the mustard belt as he defeated 8-time world champion Joey Chestnut.
That's really a sport, huh?
62 hot dogs for Stoney, 60 for Joey Chestnut.
I just have to wonder, and I hate to give him a commercial plug, but is that brought to you by Rolaids or something?
It has to be. And very quickly, Cindy, yes, I did survive the White Lightning Half Marathon. It was very brutal. I didn't finish in last place, folks. I finished 78th out of 119, but I did finish.
I think that's a good finish.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Brandon Gayhart won it from Hazard. He ran the course in 1 hour and 38 minutes.
And you say it was a brutal course.
Very brutal.
All right. Well, we're glad you're here with us.
Absolutely. We'll be right back. Well, Lathan, a chance for some showers tomorrow?
Especially tomorrow and Wednesday. Locally heavy rainfall, again a possibility. Temperatures in the mid-80s, and then we dry out and heat up as we head into the rest of the weekend.
Okay.
Sounds good to me. Sounds like typical summer weather. Now, what also sounds good was that tease you gave us about Sports Guys.
Yes, sir. Sports Director Andrew Joyce, he pulled off the big interview coming up tonight as we will have Cash Daniel with an interview sometime tonight on Sports Guys this evening from 7 until 9 o'clock.
You can watch that right here on EKB TV or listen to it.
Yeah, on 93.1 WDHR and also on ESPN Radio.
And that will do it for tonight's EKB Evening News. Remember, you can get more local news anytime by listening to the radio stations of East Kentucky Broadcasting.
You can follow EKB News and EKB TV on Facebook and Twitter. Good night. Thanks for watching.